kind of moving weird. Anyway, what is up, everyone? OG over here from PlayerEssence. Welcome to the PlayerEssence Cross Nintendo. We've got a special today because I already did one yesterday with Ms. T, but we've got another one for you guys because we had a couple guys that wanted to talk about some things here. So I got some special guests with me, and I want them to introduce themselves. First, we're going to start off with Rob from Ruleof2Review. How you doing today, Rob?
Good, man. What's up, guys? What's up, OJ and Sean? Really stoked to do the thing and discuss the fun Nintendo third-party chaos.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on. Let me just put the camera a little bit more. Oh, hold up. I got to fix this real quick, guys. All right, there we go. And then also, we have Sean Long, Retro Gaming Tube 85. Sean, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad we're able to do this. Should be fun.
Absolutely.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. And this was Sean's idea. You know, I was basically going to be probably lying down, watching my Xbox, my Streambox, and watching my favorite Destiny streamer, Destiny 2 streamer, Broman. So that's what I was going to be doing instead of this. So you guys have Sean to thank for that because that's exactly what I was going to be doing. I just lie down here with my daughter. We just talk dolls. And we watch Broman play Destiny, a bald dude, and I just watch him play Destiny. So, because I don't play the game, but I live vicariously through him since I haven't bought the game yet. So, thanks, Sean, for giving me the idea for this. So, thanks to everyone in the chat for being here. Broman is the man. He's actually a really good streamer. But anyway, yeah. Let's go ahead and get started with this, man. We've got some topics for you guys. Some more stuff that kind of came down in the news. We're going to be talking about NBA 2K18 because Sean Long says it's the greatest game ever made. It's just the greatest game ever. So we're going to be talking about that. We also have some Project Octopath impressions, Super Mario Odyssey file size, some Final Fantasy stuff, and then we're going to talk about how EA and some of these other third-party companies are slipping, so you want to make sure that you stay through to the very end in order to get all of that. So guys, hold on to your questions. We'll be having a round of questions probably at the end. Hopefully last 30 minutes or so we can answer as many questions as possible. Okay, guys? But, you know, if you don't get your question answered, I'm terribly sorry, but there's probably going to be a bunch of people, you know, doing that. So just keep on putting your questions there at the end, and we'll try to see if we can get them answered. So let's start off first. Sean, you have been playing a game, NBA 2K18. We were talking a little bit before we started. You say that it's very good. Let's hear about it. What is this game, or why is this game so good as far as NBA 2K18? What makes it better than 2K16, 2K17, 2K15? And my favorite one, NBA 2K11 with Michael Jordan on the cover.
Oh, dang.
That was a classic. No, I mean, it's not necessarily the game itself. Although the game itself is very good. I like the improvements that they made. There's a lot more. It feels there's a lot more customization as far as how you actually play the game of basketball on the court. But the thing that's the most impressive to me is the high quality of this version of the game. Like, you know, you always hear companies say, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna do a good version, and like even when 2K was like, oh yeah, it's gonna have all the features and stuff of, you know, PS4 and Xbox One, I'm like, yeah, okay. And then, you know, the visuals, you know, they didn't really show much of them. You had to get off-screen footage, and it's like, you know, it's probably gonna be, you know, a PS3 port. Hell no, these dudes, I don't know how they did it. But, like, you can even there's a couple of videos floating around online where it shows the comparison between the PS4 and the Switch version. And, like, it's there, but it's almost to the point of where you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. And then when you factor in the portability aspect of the game, it just brings it to, like, a whole nother level. Like, it's amazing. It's literally, especially, you know, I'm a multi-platform owner. We're all multi-platform owners. But being, you know, primarily Nintendo fans and Nintendo gamers, you have been getting terrible third-party support, you know, as far as ports go for so many years.
Oh,
like,
the truth hurts.
It is what it is. And then you play this game and you're like, is this really on the Switch? Is this really what's going on? It's just, it's insanity. It's literally insane. When I first started playing it, I was like, how is this working? How is this a thing? Like it's amazing.
I got a couple questions to ask you. As someone who hasn't played the game yet, hasn't played it at all. I love basketball in real life. I'm a big basketball fan, but the basketball video games, man, they're just like the learning curve on these games are ridiculous. Like NBA 2K11, I felt like I was playing like not like basketball. Like basketball in real life to me is easy to play. I mean, I played basketball, you know, all my life pretty much. I was playing basketball. I'm more of a football player, American football, but I play basketball as well. But when I play NBA 2K18, it doesn't feel as natural to me as like, let's say, playing Madden. Like when I play Madden, I feel like, okay, since I know football, I can get into this. And I know basketball, but when I play NBA 2K18, it feels like some type of crazy you have to be some type of crazy basketball mind in order to, you know, get the hang of it. Did they make things any easier for people, or is it just as technical as it used to be?
I would say it's it's probably just as technical as it used to be, because
okay.
Like my first couple of games, like I was like, wow, I'm either very rusty or like, because they always seem to tinker with the shot release a little bit, and in this one, you know, I'm using the dog bone controller for this game because I use the dog bone controller, or not dog bone, dog face controller for every game. I don't even have a pro controller yet, like, and it took me a good little bit to get adjusted to the sensitivity, because it seems like older versions of 2K, you had to hold the shot stick down longer, and in this one, it seems like it's a lot more like quick.
Okay.
But I you know, once you get used to it, it's not too bad, I would say. Oh, and another thing I want to point out is the online. I've played about 10 matches.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Perfect.
Okay.
Like,
So
it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, why is this working so well?
I have a couple questions on the online. Is there invites? Because I know Nintendo's online isn't quite, you know, isn't quite ready at this point. So is there invites? How does the online work? Or does it just randomly match you up against people, your rank?
There is some sort of invite, because somebody was tweeting me last night about it. I'm just not sure how to do it, because I was just playing some random matches. Now, there is one thing I hate about online. I'm actually working on a review. Is the fact that what it does is it bases who you play against. I mean, and this is just for quick search. You can do like non-quick search. I couldn't think of the word I was trying to say. You can do like a non-quick search,
like a custom lobby or something.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, set different parameters and whatnot. But if you just do a quick search, it matches you up with people based on their winning percentage and what team they play. I like to be able to see what team someone is going to choose before I commit, because if you pick the Golden State Warriors, I'm not going to play you. Like, that's just how it is. If you pick the Golden State Warriors or the Cavaliers, I'm not going to play you. Like,
but the Cavs? If you pick the Cavs, you're not going to play against them. They don't have Kyrie Irving anymore.
Got Isaiah Thomas though.
He's like my height.
He's good.
He's like 5'9". He's tiny.
I will play any team except those two teams, because I've been burned way too many times. But the thing of it is since this game has it has not only classic teams for every team, but it has all-time teams for every team. And if you just do quick search, it lets people pick those. So
wait a minute, hold up! It lets people pick all-time teams?
Yes.
So that's not good. That's not good.
Chicago Bulls all the way.
Yeah, I know Chicago. We got is Jordan there? Don't tell me Jordan's on there.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Is Bill Clinton there, though? That's the real thing.
Yeah, I know, it's Bill Clinton on there. Yo, I mean, I don't know about that one. All-time teams for ranked matches, or just like is it friendly matches, or are you talking about for ranked?
That has to be like its own thing, I would think, right? Like just all-time lobbies, maybe.
No. If you
I don't like that. I actually really don't like that. You can use all-time teams. Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool for those who want to use like. Obviously, like the Bulls all time would just be like the '90s Bulls. It would just be because the '80s Bulls weren't garbage, but they weren't good. They weren't really good. They were getting pummeled by the Pistons every single year. But it would just be like it would just be like the '96 Bulls basically. That would be like the all time Bulls would just be '96 Bulls. So,
I was playing all time Magic the other night, and it was last night, and it was nuts. It was nuts. I almost won though. I lost on on a last-second shot.
You got all-time Magic, so you got like, is it Horace Grant on? Is it Horace Grant,
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal?
Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard, yeah.
Dwight Howard. Stevie Franchise in his prime.
Point guard. Yeah, that's a good squad. I was just thinking about it.
So I'm confused. Is the all-time stuff picking like teams from an era, or is it like the all-time best players in each position in like a mishmash, like kind of how like the Olympics do it? Or is it like the 1992 Chicago Bulls or whatever?
Well, see, you could pick specific you could pick specific years of teams. There's teams like that. But what it does is it just basically accumulates all of the best players that have ever played for the franchise at a time and puts them all on one team.
That's kind of what I was sort of thinking it sounded like. I was just curious.
So let me check out Custom Search because I'm actually playing it right now.
Okay.
So, see, Custom Search, it doesn't give you much. It says limiting your... So, each team has a tier, and you can... it's based on their ranking and your ranking. So, like, the Hornets are a tier 4, the Jazz are a tier 3, tier 5 Lakers, so it's based on the overall team's rating. So, like the classic teams I'm looking at are like tier 2. So I guess all-time teams are tier 1, but then it factors in the so those are tier 1. So like here's the Bulls. You got Derrick Rose at point, Scottie Pippen at the small forward, Jordan at shooting guard, Rodman at power forward, and Artis Gilmore at center.
Okay, yeah, you had to basically. Is that like just, and then who's the backups? Is it like just more of the, or is it the all-time teams? Do you have, how many people are on the team? Is it like more people on the bench too, or?
Oh yeah, you got a full roster, man.
Okay,
full roster. They went all out with that aspect of it.
They had to pull out one from their hat for the center because the Bulls have never had a great center. The Bulls have never had a truly great center. I mean, I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Absolutely, I love the Chicago Bulls. They're my favorite team, and I hate them at the same time for what they're doing now because they're being really dumb. They traded away their best player, Jimmy Butler, for nothing. They got nothing for him, and he's a top 15 player in the NBA probably, and they traded him away for nothing. And in NBA terms, he only makes $17 million. That's for the next 2 years. He would have been only making $72 million, and he's a 26, 27 points a game scorer. And they got two scrubs for him. So I'm a little. The Bulls suck. They have no one. I'm just like my Niners. My Niners suck too. Nobody's good. My Fresno State Bulldogs suck. My Niners suck. My Bulls suck. They all suck. They're all trash.
That's why I love being from Colorado because we're such a sports state. Even though I don't live there now, like so many of our teams so often are really good. And I feel for you in the Niners, man. I feel for you on that.
Yeah, they're so. And the Niners do the same thing. They got rid of all their good players. Now they suck. They're
just not good.
They're just trash. They are just absolutely that pitiful display. About to turn into Stephen A. Smith right now. If we go too far, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stop there. So okay, so NBA 2K, the Raiders do not suck. Are you crazy?
Okay, I have opinions on the Raiders, but I have to acknowledge the fact that they did make it to the playoffs last year.
The Raiders do not suck. Okay, first of all, my boy Derek Carr, who's a Fresno State alum, when I was a senior, he was a freshman. He's leading the team. So first, that's the first thing.
I hate to admit how good he is because I hate the Raiders, but I can't say that they're actually bad.
You've got to give this man credit because first of all, he's from my hometown as well. He's from my hometown here in the Central Valley, and Derek Carr he was trash when he got to Fresno State. This quarterback that you see that's playing in the NFL for the Raiders, the starting quarterback, he was absolutely trash when he was at Fresno State. He came in and he was garbage. He threw the ball into the dumpster all the time. He threw the ball into the ground. This man worked so hard over the 5 years he was at Fresno State to get to where he is. So I don't like when people hate on him or the Raiders anymore. I don't like the Raiders, but I don't hate on them because my boy is leading the charge there. So, I mean, and you got to give it to him. I mean, obviously, people looked at his brother, right? Like, okay, well, that's the reason why he didn't go in the first round, because of his brother. That's the only reason why he didn't go in the first round is because of his brother, because his brother was a bust at Fresno State. You know what I'm saying? So he gets to the league and they're like, oh, well, let's take him in the second round. I mean, if this dude went to like Cal or USC, he would have been a first round pick, no problem. But got to the second round, but he's doing his thing. So yeah, man. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for NBA 2K18 then, right? All right, Sean?
Like I actually I had such a pain in the ass to download it because it came out at midnight no matter where you lived. And I'm just sitting here and like I keep seeing like people putting up this doo-doo ass footage of like off-screen stuff or like their cell phone, and I'm like, how are these people playing it? And I kept looking and it was all these Japanese names, and I'm like, is it out in Japan? And I looked and it was out in Japan, and I was like, I wonder if it's you know, if the language is the same. And then I found out it was. So I tried to get a bunch of eShop gift cards or eShop cards from Amazon Japan. They limited me to 1. Then I had to go to another website and get another card. They limited me to 1, and then I had to go to another website and get another. It was such a pain in the
Dude,
ass.
I saw your tweet fiasco when those steps were happening. I was like, man, I don't know what he's going through, but Amazon is screwing him bad on something right now.
I was having a meltdown. I just wanted to play it, but I ended up downloading it from the Japanese eShop, and it's setting the bar very, very high for ports. Because honestly, when you think about it, this is the first, unless I'm just completely missing a game, this is really the first game, retail release, that we've gotten for the Switch that has a more realistic style to it that's not, you know, a cartoony style or
like art style.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like this has real people, real character models and stuff like that. So this is sort of, you know, I've actually, you know, made videos on this. This, to me, NBA 2K18, WWE 2K18, and Skyrim, and now, of course, freaking Doom, are essentially litmus tests to how strong the system is going to be, because now you have games that you can put it up 1-to-1 against that require, you know, like games that, you know, people assimilate with PS4 and Xbox One because of the high graphics. And so far, it's just like, yo, they nailed it. Like,
yeah, I didn't see this type of like when NBA 2K13 came out on the Wii U. People were just like, man, this looks like trash. You know, even compared to the PS3 and 360 version. I remember I played it, like there was a demo released, and I'm like, this looks like trash. Like, I was like, this looks horrible, you know, compared to even like the PS3 and 360. So the fact that they got this game and like what the Take-Two president said, like he's like, hey, we need to make sure this game, like everything is in this game. Like maybe it can't run completely 1-to-1 with the PS4 and Xbox One, but the fact that it's portable, the fact that you can take it anywhere, a lot of people are willing to make that trade, and you're just getting Nintendo fans. At least it's a quality product. You know, that's the biggest thing that you want to see over what just the debacle with the Wii U was. Just you want to make sure that you have quality products out. You know. When they come out, man. So that I'm happy to hear that it's, you know, there's maybe some little issues here and there, but overall it's a pretty solid and well-playing game based on your preview, right? Or based on what you've.
Yeah, I've gotten little to no sleep the past couple days because I just keep playing it, and it's like, oh, I'll just play one more match. Oh, it's 4 a.m. Great. Like, there's a lot to do in the game, and the fact that they didn't strip away anything, just it's amazing.
Okay, yeah, nice. Well, you know, that's definitely good to hear. Good to hear that that it's worked out well, and maybe I'll pick it up at some point because I do like NBA. I like more of the arcade style. Like I'm more of, like I love NBA Playgrounds. You know, I loved NBA Jam back in the day, and I still like those games today. I still play NBA Playgrounds every now and then. So yeah, man. Well, I'm glad to hear this one's good, and hopefully they have some good sales. Probably will be better once the physical version comes out too. As well. So
I'd imagine so, because that's, you know, the save file for this freaking game is 5 gigs.
That's that old school like PS2 Madden career mode or whatever. Like the like take up your whole PS2 card, dude. Remember that?
I was like, what the hell? Why is this so big? Like, that's a problem with third-party companies, that they don't know how to optimize.
Yeah, and that's kind of like one of like the weird controversies around it, right? Is like they put all the stuff in there, and the game looks really great, and obviously plays great, but there is the way like they have, I guess, not compressed some of the data rights, so we have these huge file sizes, and you know that's. I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it the first game that's come out that it has been actually stated it is impossible to play it without a memory card or an SD card, right? So I feel like that's like kind of the one thing that sort of kind of, I don't want to say exposes because that makes it sound negative that it really should be, but kind of shows the nature of the difference of when a third-party company develops on a Nintendo platform and what Nintendo can do. We all saw the Mario thing, and it's really amazing because it's only 5 gigs. And you just made a good point, because Mario is 5 gigs, and just the save file for NBA is the same 5 gigs. So There's kind of some stuff now. Yeah, so that's just really interesting, you know.
There's definitely some unoptimization going on, like,
Yeah.
but it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, well, they're working on literally how many versions of the game they're working on. Is there a PC version of this game? I'm not sure. But either way, they have to do. They did PS4 Pro, they did PS4, they did Xbox One. They're doing Switch. There's multiple versions of the game, and the Switch team. Apparently, I guess they had a whole second team that was just, you know, going back and forth and making sure that everything was good. But yeah, that's just the unfortunate side effect of when you have all these different platforms that you have to support, and Switch,
Sure.
you know.
Well, and the Switch is new, and we all know it's like different architecture. It's supposed to be really easy to develop for, which is awesome news. But it's probably all those factors, you know. I think that you're right. That's probably part of it.
That's definitely part of it. So yeah, man.
Well, of PS3 and Xbox 360 version, so I mean, there's like a million versions of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of versions, man, of the game, but it's good to hear that it's doing well, man, and I'm pretty sure that people are going to pick it up. It'll be interesting just to see where it kind of lands on the eShop, because it is full-priced game. But yeah, there's been other full-price games that have done pretty well. I mean, like even like Azure Striker Gunvolt, that's a $40 game. That's a port of 3DS games, and that's still hanging in there in the top 20. So it'll be cool to see how it does overall. I think it should do okay based on what all the previews that have went up have been pretty positive on the game, how it plays. And like a lot of people are like, yeah, it's not 60 frames per second, but it's portable. I can play this game anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
And honestly, the frame rate doesn't like it's if it was not locked at 60, okay, then I mean not locked at 30, then yeah, we have a problem. I haven't had a single frame rate dip the entire time, so I mean it's very, very smooth.
I'm glad that they're able to lock it in there at 30 frames per second, because yeah, frame rate dips would have definitely been problematic for people picking this game up, because it's already not 60 and now you're trying to tell me it's 30 with frame rate dips. So I'm glad they're able to lock it in there. And you know, with these type of games, yeah, you want 60 and all, but man, it's so technical. For me, I'm not even noticing that in these type of games. You know what I'm saying? Like with basketball games, I'm not even noticing that, because there's so many things that you have to worry about when it comes to your shot, when it comes to playing defense, zone, man, you know, what you're doing, like matchups, pick and rolls, whatever the case is. I just remember being overwhelmed when I played NBA 2K11. So I'm glad everything is going well with that, but we're definitely going to move on a bit. You guys can let me know how Rob sounds. I did raise his voice, so if he's sounding okay now in the chat, you guys let me know.
Yeah, I saw that. Apparently, I was kind of quiet. Hopefully, I'm doing better.
Yeah, I raised. No, you don't have to talk louder. I have custom volume control here, so I raised you up a bit, so I think you should be good. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, man. We're going to talk about another game that came out, or at least another demo that came out recently. That was Project Octopath Traveler. That literally knocked me out of my seat when I watched the Nintendo Direct. I was floored that we got a demo of this, and I've been playing it a lot. I've played through Primrose's campaign and just kind of been power leveling. I got the other guy, Oblique or whatever his name is. I got him. Absolutely love this game. Love the art style. Love everything about it. It's a really fun game. But I wanted to get you guys' impressions. Have any of you guys got a chance to play it yet?
Sadly, no. I haven't.
Yeah. I have NBA 2K.
He's been playing it. Okay, so I'll go over.
Honestly, I have Metroid, so that's really where I'm really placing.
Oh yeah.
There's too many games. There's too many games. Isn't that convention you go to every single year, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There's too many games, and yeah, I mean, I'll just talk about it briefly, because I know I talked about it a little bit yesterday. Since you guys haven't played it, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the coolest thing about this game, and what I love about it, it's like if Final Fantasy VI and like Bravely Default had like a love child, and then there you go. It's that's what it is. It has the same artistic style of Final Fantasy VI. It really reminds me of that 2D. The monsters are on the left, you're on the right. You kind of step up whoever's about to do their attack. But the coolest thing that they've infused into this is the system from Bravely Default, kind of like a modified one. You can't put yourself at risk, so you can't keep on hitting, like they call it, the boost. You know, you can't boost yourself into the negative, but you can, anytime that you take a turn, you get another extra attack, and then you can use that to exploit the weaknesses of the enemies on there. So it's a very fun game. I talked about it yesterday, so like I said, I won't spend too much time on it, but I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really happy about the demo footage and being able to play through. So yeah, man, it's and the artistic look of it. We know that it's using Unreal Engine 4. So, and they have this new thing called HD 2D that's going on with it. So, yeah.
I will. What I will say about it is I spent a decent amount of time on Bravely Default, the first one when it came out, which really, really surprised me, and I really enjoyed what I played. I didn't finish it, but when I learned that this game was going to be exclusive from Square, and I saw what it looked like you're totally right. The visuals are freaking outstanding, man. Like, it looks so freaking cool. And knowing that, hearing it kind of borrows some of the Bravely Default system, which is kind of like you're trading your hit points, like you're willing to sacrifice to do kind of better moves, if I remember right. I think that that sounds really cool for this kind of game to play on the Switch. So I'm definitely excited to check it out. And it's huge. Like, Square was so in the news, right, like a couple of weeks ago for Switch stuff. And are they making Final Fantasy? Are they bringing us any video games? And it's like, well, this game is actually a pretty big deal, I feel. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see this game coming from like a really smart, dedicated RPG team. And to even give us a demo, like, it's really cool that we're seeing like the demo culture on the Switch really kind of start to kick into gear with like Rayman having a demo and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited for how this game will turn out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's as far as like the battle system, Bravely Defaults is definitely more advanced, but they're not done with the game yet. Maybe they'll add that element, because Bravely Default, you can boost yourself to negatives. Like, let's say if you want to hit someone 4 times in a row, even if you don't have those turns queued up, like you use the default option to where you save up a turn. That's the main difference.
That's what it was. Yeah, you could trade your turns, right?
Yeah, you can
your HP. That's right.
Or you can use the default, and then basically you can gain an extra attack. So you can kind of wait it out, and that's basically what this game is. You don't have the option of basically putting yourself into like a negative of 4 turns and not being able to attack for 4 turns. This one, anytime that a turn goes by, you get 1 extra boost point, and then after like 3 turns, you can use all 3 of them. Like, you turn like multiple shades of Super Saiyan. It's like like each time, like it's like
I want that game. I want a Dragon Ball Z RPG turn-based.
There actually is one. There is one. On the there is
PlayStation 1. I bet.
No. Well, there is one for there's one for PlayStation systems, but those ones all suck. All the Dragon Ball Z RPG games suck. There's one good one, and it was made by Monolith Soft. Back in the
game, there's like Game Boy Advance RPGs, right? Game Boy Advance?
There are, but those ones suck too. The best one, the one that I'm talking about is like the Legend of what's it called? Gosh.
The Legend of the Super Legend.
No, I have it now. It's
Brawly the Legendary Super Saiyan.
No, I need to find it now. It's a game. It's for the DS. It was made by Monolith Soft. And they made it the same team that makes Xenoblade and all of that.
Monolith needs to make a Switch Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, they do. Dude. But yeah, that's the one. I played a Dragon Ball Z game RPG on the DS, and it's really good. It's like I said, it's really good. But yeah, they do. I would love a Dragon Ball Z RPG made by Monolith Soft. That would be like the best thing ever. That would be so dope, man. But we're gonna go ahead and move on from Project Octopath. So pretty cool that the game is we got a demo. I'm really happy about that. Next, we're gonna move on to the file size, because we're talking about NBA 2K18 having 5 gigabytes of size for the career mode or whatever it is for the profile. Well, Super Mario Odyssey is about 5.7 gigabytes of file size, which we learned today based on the Japanese eShop listing. It appears, or no, the official My Nintendo. So My Nintendo Japan. Yeah, My Nintendo Japan site showed that off. So 5.7 gigabytes. So reactions to Nintendo's compression wizards magic. What do you guys think about this?
I think what?
You go. The point where it's expected.
Yeah. We'll start off with Rob. You want to go ahead and go first?
Yeah, sure. I think the delay is probably messing us up, so sorry, dude.
Oh, no, it's not good.
But I think that it's one of those things where, like, we all as Nintendo fans talk about, like, the Nintendo magic, and I think that that's been sort of like their secret sauce that maybe has also alienated a lot of third-party companies in the past, because it could be, assuming that there's truth to this, it could be something where, well, Nintendo just knows their hardware, man. Like, they build their hardware in a way where they know how to pick it apart and do the best things and get the best graphics and frame rates and obviously file size compression. Like we've seen, even with the Wii U, like obviously we all know the best Wii U games were Nintendo's, because they could do things that it seemed like some of the other third-party companies that tried couldn't achieve. And so when I see like what Nintendo's accomplishing with Mario Odyssey, which we know is going to be a huge, beautiful, crazy, gigantic game, and then we see 2K obviously making a really good game with NBA 2K, but not being able to achieve anywhere near that same level of compression. I think it just comes down to how Nintendo makes sure that they can make their stuff the best it can be first, and they can just hope that everyone else is willing to jump on board and can find a way to make their third-party games and multiplats work and look the best on their consoles. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like the Switch is weird because there's kind of been this promise from Nintendo, which I do believe this. I think there's been this promise of, we've made this easy to develop for, like we were talking about earlier. It's easy to develop for. Hopefully that's going to help make it more enticing for third-party companies to want to bring their games over. And I feel like that's obviously probably true because, as we will talk about later, there's a lot of really good third-party stuff finally showing up, and I'm sure that that's, for the most part, a huge part of it is that it's easy to develop for. But I still think maybe it's just not perfect, or it could just be something like, OJ, you kind of alluded to this, like maybe not every company making a third-party game on the Switch is putting all of their best team or the biggest team that they have on the Switch version of a game, so that they're still not able to get the most efficient version of the game. So we get this, 16 gig download for NBA plus the 5 gig file size and all that. So I really think that we're just in the newest version of Nintendo makes hardware they can do the best at, and just hope that everyone else is able to perform well on it as well. And I think that that's kind of where we're at. But it's a big step forward because, again, I believe them when they say we've made it easy to develop for, and I think stuff like Doom probably shows that.
Yeah, well, so what's your take on it, Sean, as far as the file size goes for Super Mario Odyssey?
It's to be expected. I mean, even, I think Pokken DX was like 3.7 gigs for the whole game, and it's like, well, how the hell do they fit a whole game in the size of a save file? I think it's a combination of, third-party companies, they want their games to sell, but I just necessarily don't think they want to take the time and effort because, I mean, all things considered, 2K on the PS4 is like a 50 to 60 gig download. I mean, these companies are so used to these massive, I just recently got an Xbox One S, and everything has to install on it. I've got like 3 games on it. My 500 gigs is full. Like,
gone.
That's
gone in 3 games. Yeah, if you have 3 games on there, it's pretty much gone. Yeah,
it's crazy. They don't care to figure it out, and I can't necessarily say I blame them. Like that, I would think compressing things and trying to figure out how to make things smaller would take a hell of a lot of time. So, this being the first year, this being everyone's kind of, rushing to get, well, most companies are rushing to get products out this year for the system. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I think 2K, it sucks that you had to have a memory card, but you might as well expand your storage anyways. It's not expensive. It's very easy to do. Once I figured out where the hell to insert the micro SD card, I haven't had one.
Underneath the kickstand.
Yeah, I was sitting
It's
there
way better than the 3DS. You don't have to pull the thing apart to change it. You just slide it right in there.
Yeah. So I mean, and with companies, like what they're doing with Doom, where if you get the physical version, the game is the single player is on the cartridge, and then you download the multiplayer. Like that makes sense to me. That I would like that to be a standard for third-party games because that way you preserve the single player, which is always going to be there when long after the multiplayer is gone. So I like what they're doing with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I've complained about this many times, but I absolutely hate the way Microsoft and Sony's solution to the loading, basically the old, outdated technology of disk drives, right? That's basically what's holding these things back, why we have to do this, why everything is going on. We're just using ridiculously old optical media. It's not fast, so load times were already kind of long last generation, so in order to make them not as bad, they're saying, okay, well, you have to install the game to your hard drive, otherwise you'll be having crazy load times. And I know they introduced that at the end, pretty much the mid to end of last generation, we started seeing the optional install for a lot of these games, and I think even like Grand Theft Auto, you had to install.
I was going to say, I think Grand Theft Auto 4 was the first game I saw where it absolutely required an install, and it confused me. I was like, what am I watching right now? I couldn't believe a loading bar came up. So
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, there's no easy like way, because obviously cartridges is something that people don't. The industry wasn't going to go back to that. Like Microsoft and Sony weren't, developers weren't going to, but Nintendo just said, "Oh well, screw it." Like, like we're going to do it. So I'm happy that they were able to do that. So we don't so we at least have options. I don't have a problem buying a cartridge and memory. That's something that I've always done. Mr. T was talking about PS1. That's what you did. You know, you had to do that with PS1. I had to do that with N64 for the most part. I mean, buy a memory card or whatever the case was. I did it with GameCube. I did it with PS2. You know, it was was not a problem for me going out there. And I'm not phased. I don't get easily tricked by them saying 500 gigabytes. Oh, you get so much space. I'm not easy. I mean, a lot of consumers are easily tricked by that, right? And then they go home and they realize that, okay, they bought Gears of War, they bought Halo, and then you have no space on your hard drive left. After Gears of War and Halo and all the updates, and your 500 gigabytes turns into essentially nothing when you have your apps and maybe a couple of the free game downloads they give you. So I'm not as easily tricked as a lot of these gamers out there are. So I have no problem what Nintendo's doing with the cartridges and memory, because most of the games that that Nintendo puts out, it's fine on there.
I think it's probably I definitely am with you guys in the sense that it super does not bother me. The $40 I spent for my SD card before the Switch came out was like nothing. But I think that it's smart to kind of play the devil's advocate, at least to the point of where I think some people are mad, even though I'm with you guys. I'm not super mad about it. But I think that when people talk about the fact that still with the PlayStation and Xbox, you do have some space to put a few games, as we've joked about, like 2 or 3 games and you're done. That's totally true. But I think that that's what people are seeing is you can put, a couple of games on your system right out of the box before you have to buy anything. And now, less than a year after the Switch comes out, here we're starting to get games where you can't do that, and you absolutely have to have already purchased separately memory for your Switch to be able to play the games. And while I am totally understanding of the situation and I'm willing to trade all the garbage of the other stuff to have the convenience of the Switch, I get the complaint. I do think that to a degree the complaint does have merit. And I'm someone, like you said, Sean, we're all multi-console owners, and I have my PS4 and Xbox Ones that I've had since very close to launch. And to be fair, I've never bought external storage for them yet. I do a hell of a lot of deleting and reinstalling.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you have to delete and reinstall stuff, though. That's the thing. Like,
I put Fallout 4 on my Xbox like 3 times already. It's like so annoying.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I still was able to put a lot of games on the system. So while I'm not mad about it, I get why people are kind of mad, and so that's all. Just throwing it out there. I get it.
And you know what the funny thing is that I have no sympathy for those people, to be honest, because Microsoft and Sony essentially made games all digital. It's unforgivable. In my opinion, it's unforgivable to say, okay, well, we give you a bunch of space, but your physical games aren't really physical anymore. Like, that to me is unforgivable. It's an unforgivable... as an old school gamer, I can't forgive that. So, I mean, that's just me. I will take buying a card over saying, no, I have to buy a card over them saying, well, you know what? Your physical games aren't really physical. So I mean, I can understand there's some people who go all digital anyway. So maybe that's why they're complaining. But like I've said this before, like this is one thing I can budge on a lot of things when it comes to Switch. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that is one argument that I will cross my arms and be like, no. I will cross my arms and be like, no. I will argue with someone all day. I will argue all day on Twitter. I am not going to bend to the you can take away real physical games. Screw that. I am not bending on that one bit. I'll bend on everything else when it comes to Switch. Graphics, whatever the case you want to make complaints about, but I will not bend on them taking away real physical games. No, I will not bend.
Dude, I'm with you 100%. I asked the Juice of Blues podcast guys, I refuse to not buy my games physical if the option is there. It's the only way I want my game, so I am totally with you.
I'm the same, but I had to wait a month if I wanted to physical on 2K, and I was like, nope, that ain't happening.
All right, man. So I think we'll move on from this 5 gigabyte topic and memory. It's always an interesting discussion, though. It's always fun, especially on Twitter. It's really fun for me talking to these people because we keep on going back and forth, and I just tell them I'm not budget, man. They're like, oh, we'll agree to disagree. I'm like, nope.
like, no, we'll just disagree.
I'm like, no, we'll just disagree. I'm not agreeing with you on anything when it comes to this. Screw that. Heck no. I'm not agreeing with anything when it comes to them taking away like, it's a DRM disc. That's ridiculous. It's unforgivable in my opinion. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last topic here. Before we get into the main the meat and potatoes here. So recently, Hajime talked too much Tabata from Final Fantasy fame, Final Fantasy 15 director. He's talked about he shared his team's appreciation for The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Okay, and he said that the next game that they want to create in the Final Fantasy series, they want to recreate that same feeling that Zelda fans had with The Legend of Zelda. Like, oh my gosh, this is just the newest and bestest thingest ever, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to read a quote from him, because I'm not sure if you guys have seen this article yet, but I'm going to read a quick quote from him. So he said, this is in an interview with GameSpot, and here's what he had to say. He said, quote, "I've heard a lot from the dev team and their reactions to having played it, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. But just from hearing the stories and the feedback, you know, we can tell that this is really a complete game. It's very polished, almost a perfect game in that regard. And our goals are probably to take that experience that players felt with the Breath of the Wild, but with our own technology and our own know-how. We have in our disposal to create a very, very high quality game with a strong visual element to it while creating a world that's really immersive and really beautiful. That's probably our goals in terms of what we want to be with our next project." So I have some strong feelings on this, so I'll go ahead and I'll let you guys go first. Sean, what do you think about what he said here? Just your initial. Do you have any initial reaction to this?
I mean, okay, when's it coming out? In 2025? Like,
You're giving them a lot of credit. It's 2025.
I know, seriously. That's less than 10 years, Sean.
what does that even mean? Like, it's just like I don't know. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, we want to. Are you wanting to make a game that's impactful like Zelda, or are you wanting to make a game that is just, you know, a barren sort of open world action RPG? Like, that's just shut up.
That's why I said he talks too much at the.
It's so. You just enjoy the release of Final Fantasy 15. Like, just enjoy it.
He can't. The sales have dipped so bad. Like, he can't. He's got to keep talking. He's got to keep talking and promoting mobile phone games and the 170 gigabyte. I feel bad for him because it's Square Enix putting him up to all this jabroniness. But anyway, Rob, what is your take on this?
I mean, basically, what it sounds like to me is that he's just like, well, Zelda was a really good game, and we want to make really good games. So we want to make a really good game too, just like Zelda was a really good game. And I think that that's really what it sounds like to me. They're just like, we want to make a good game, and thank goodness Zelda was so good. So that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like,
isn't really bad. It's just a weird way to phrase it, right? Like,
yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I noticed about it. It's like, oh yeah, we played the team had Zelda, and like that was a great game, and we want to create the feeling, but strong visual elements. See, and that's where I'm like, okay, that's where
so he means like an art style, probably. Like,
I mean,
like
maybe
an art style that sticks out.
Maybe, but then he said a very, very high quality game with a strong visual element to it. So that could mean anything, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like a realistic looking game, which Final Fantasy 15 is just this weird mix between like not really anime-ish because they have like anime-ish hair, but then like realistic, like
yeah, no, it's like I've likened that look to like kind of what Horizon Zero Dawn did too, where it is like going for like a kind of realism, but there's also like kind of exaggerated features on the people and stuff, like you said, anime-like, and it's like a weird kind of hybrid, right, of like a fantasy and a realism.
And I like Final Fantasy 15. I thought it's a really good game. There's some issues that I take with it, especially Chapter 13, but they fixed that for the most part. But it's still kind of But the issue, here's the thing that I have with this, as far as what he's saying. Like, he really focuses on, you know, the visual elements of it. Zelda, yes, has a really strong visual element to it, but it's not anything that we haven't seen before. It's just the first time that we've seen it fully kind of made like HD, right? With Nintendo's new system. Obviously, they did The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, they did Twilight Princess HD, but those were both GameCube games, right? So this is the first new one that they made on the Switch. So it had a strong visual element to it, but it's nothing that we haven't seen before. My issue is that there was nothing in there about gameplay. There was nothing in there at all about gameplay. Maybe he wasn't trying to give something away, but I didn't like that because the thing that sucked people into Legend of Zelda was what they did with the actual gameplay of the game.
Yeah.
It's what they did with the gameplay, and there was nothing from what he said there, and that is falling into the same trap that Final Fantasies have fell into pretty much since Final Fantasy, I would say, 13. That's where it started with this.
Oh, yeah.
It needs to look like the greatest thing ever, and I'm afraid that it's going to fall into that same trap because these people are the biggest graphics. Final Fantasy 15, it's partly hamstrung by the graphics engine that it uses, and them just trying to make sure that it's like the greatest looking thing ever. I think they really need to make sure that they hunker down and focus on gameplay because Project Octopath has a better battle system than Final Fantasy 15 from what I've seen. And Octopath's battle system isn't even fully fleshed out yet, and it's already better. Bravely Default has a better battle system than Final Fantasy 15 overall. So that's the thing that I'm a little worried about, is that they're going to get into this graphics race again, this graphics thing again, because that's what he focuses on. Very strong visual element, really immersive and beautiful. Okay, but what about really strong gameplay elements that really suck you into this immersive and beautiful world? What about him? He could have said that, and he did it. So,
well, do you guys think that maybe part of what he's saying is just the way Zelda changed the game, like, for that series and had people so enraptured in how good it was, like, for months and months, that maybe that's what he's trying to do? Kind of like I think you said, OJ, like more the impact that Zelda has or the way it reinvigorated what was happening. Yeah. Maybe that's what he's getting at. And so hopefully that means gameplay, even though he didn't talk about gameplay.
I would hope. Yeah, I don't want to kill him too much over it. It's just, Final Fantasy 15 obviously should have been much better. With the resources at their disposal, it should have been much better. It should have been much better than what it actually was. With the resources at their disposal, it should have been one of the greatest Final Fantasy games of all time. And it's not. It's not even in, I wouldn't even say it's in the top half. Well, no, it's probably in the top half because there's been some bad Final Fantasy games. But in terms of like mainline titles, it would be tough to put it in the top half, like as far as Final Fantasy. Maybe it's like at 6 or something like that, but it's definitely not in the top. It's not in the top 5. I don't think it's in the top 5 as far as Final Fantasy games go, or even games that were like spun off from Final Fantasy. Even like Bravely Default, that was supposed to be 4 Warriors of Light, a Final Fantasy 4 Warriors of Light game, but then they just said, just make it a whole new IP. But it was supposed to be that, and then they put in their own elements into it. So it's tough, man. But I mean, I can see what you're saying though, Rob. Maybe he is just saying like, because he talked about how polished it is when it came to different things. So maybe he is, and I'm hoping that's what he's kind of going for. So yeah, man, we'll see about it. Sean, do you have anything else to add on it as far as what you think, or?
Just shut up. Just shut up and stop talking.
All right. Well, let's hope they put the game on the Switch. I think that's the big thing, in my opinion. That's really kind of hamstringing sales right now. I mean, really, essentially you're only selling this game on the PlayStation in Japan. You're not really selling it you're not really selling it on the Xbox, and a game that costs that much, to make, and there's no Switch version. So yeah, so that's a challenge for them. So hopefully they wisen up, and because their games, really Square Enix games, haven't really been selling on Xbox for the longest time. So we'll see what they do going forward.
Well, and I'm confused. I should ask you guys, because you guys might know better than me. You for sure, OJ. What is the deal with Dragon Quest XI? I thought that game was like a Switch game that was coming, and I haven't researched it, and I don't follow the series at all. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was like a big deal, like the first game any developer ever talked about for the then NX. Like, is that game out in Japan? Is it coming to the States? Like, or the rest of the world? Like,
sure. I can break down what's going on with this. So basically, Dragon Quest XI, it came out, I think July or something like that. Yeah, it came out the same month as Splatoon. Mm-hmm. Did really well. On the PS4 and also on the 3DS. Now, they started development afterwards as far as full-scale development on there. They had to really fix up the PlayStation 4 and the 3DS versions of Dragon Quest. And I think they said that, we want to keep the old-school feel, I guess, of Dragon Quest. So there's no voice acting in the game at all. I personally feel it's because they wanted to get the game out on time, because it was taking way too long to develop. They were having issues with the game, so they just said no voice acting at all. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason. But anyway, so they were basically running behind with the game. They really had to bust it to get it out on time. So obviously bringing in the Switch version in there and optimizing it and getting it ready is going to take a little bit longer than what they have for the 3DS and for the PlayStation 4. So that's what they basically said the latest is, that they're optimizing it and they're getting it ready for release on the Nintendo Switch, but they can't really talk about it too much right at this point. But yeah, that's really what's going on now. We have a release we have a confirmed release for 2018 in the States and in Europe. So
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that we're going to see the Switch version launch worldwide with all of the different, like, Switch version and America, all that. It's going to launch all worldwide in 2018 after they're done optimizing it and getting it ready. So that's my take on
it. Would probably be the first Dragon Quest game I ever play, simply because it would be on the Switch. Like, so I hope that it comes, you know, pretty soon. I hope it comes at some point.
Yeah, no problem there. Okay, well, yeah, that's really what's going on. And while Sean takes a break real quick, we're going to get into just one quick shout out. So once again, Mark Bryant, who's personally funding PlayerEssence, Mark Bryant with the $10 donation says, quote, I love you, Sean and Rob. All fantastic guys. So thank you so much, Mark.
Sweet.
I do appreciate the
Thank
$10
you.
donation. We really do appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much. Mark is fantastic. He's always on my live streams. He's always sharing my videos. He's a really great. He's also a Patreon backer as well. So he really helps out with the channel as far as me doing these things. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much, Mark. I really do appreciate. That. So let's get into a little bit. We're gonna wait a little bit till Sean gets back before we get into the main topic here. So people are talking about. Well, we didn't really talk about what we've been playing. So really, Rob, I know you have a game that you like to play.
I've got
might want to talk about it a little bit while we wait for Sean to come back. So what have you been playing lately?
Yeah, obviously I'm pretty like knee deep in Metroid right now because it is Metroid and it's a huge deal that this game has come out. I should say I was playing Destiny 2 for like the week or so until Metroid came out with some of my buddies, which is really good. But I mean, really, Metroid is the thing. And I know, OJ, you had a chance to get it early and review it and all that stuff, so you've been playing it for a while. I think Sean did too, actually. But I had to wait till release day, like a scrub. And so
hey, you're getting there, dude. You're getting there. You're about 3,000 away, and then you just contact Nintendo.
I'm hoping, yeah.
You're getting there.
I've got a contact or two at Nintendo already, which is nice, but I know that I'm not quite yet at like review status, even though I tried to talk to someone. I think I hit him up too late, but I'm working there. I'm climbing the ladder slowly but surely, which is really nice to see. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm playing Metroid, Samus Returns, and it's so freaking awesome. What I'm really appreciating about this game is, obviously because it's Metroid, is the atmosphere and the tone that it sets and the way the music and the environmental sounds really kind of put you in the space of like the Metroid universe, which is harder to do on a portable, and I would also argue harder to do in like a 2D game, even a 2D Metroid game, because we've gotten so immersed in the first-person Prime stuff where you feel more like you're in a world when you're playing a game in first person. But revamping this game with the graphics engine that they're using and with the soundscape that they've used really still, at least to me, makes me feel like I am in the Metroid game, in the Metroid universe, even though I'm looking at my tiny little 3DS screen and I'm just going side to side as opposed to like pretending like I'm looking through Samus's visor. So I'm sure everyone's playing it. Again, I know you guys played it a lot, but it's blowing me away. And it's weird because it actually, with the soundscape and the graphics, I've talked about this before, and I know this is controversial, but I'm going to stand by this. I absolutely think there's a lot of inspiration from Other M that they did bring and put into this game as far as the look and the acrobatics and the melee combat and stuff that Samus has. Like, it absolutely is borrowed from Other M, and I think that's a good thing. But more than that, what I'm really impressed with now that I've been playing it for whatever 10 hours I did yesterday is it actually feels and sounds a lot also like the Prime games, and I didn't really expect that. So I appreciate how they've kind of taken the best of the 2D Metroid, the best of Other M, which I do think there is some good from that game to take. I know everyone wants to crucify me for
Burn him at the stake!
I know.
Burn him at the stake! This foul witch! How dare you!
This is the last time you're ever going to hear from me. I'm dead after today. So. They've taken the best from Other M and the best from Prime and kind of put it into one. So I'm loving it, man. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm so in love with it. No,
you know what? Here's the thing. You can burn me at the stake too. I don't necessarily like super hate Other M. Like, people hate that game for...
It's not as bad as people think. Even though it does have a lot of big problems, it's not as bad as people think.
Yeah, sorry about the ear. I guess I was a little too loud. Some people were saying rip my ears. But yeah, maybe I was a little too loud. Sorry about that, guys. But here's the thing. It's not as... people hate the way that they portrayed Samus. That's the reason why the game gets a lot of hate, right? And
yeah,
for me, my problem is that I have these big basketball player hands, and you have to play on this tiny Wii remote.
Yeah.
I mean, my hands just don't fit. And like I said, my hands are way too big for the size of my body. Like, I'm short. Like I said, I'm 5'9", but I have this long 6 foot, like a person that's like 6'2" or whatever wingspan. You know, I can palm a basketball. I can grab a rim. You know, and the problem is that when you put this small little Wii remote D-pad in front of me, my hands are just too big for this small remote to play it like that.
Yeah, that was
school,
like,
so.
It's interesting if you go back to when that game was coming out. That was 2010. So if you think about what era of Nintendo that was like right in like the peak of the Wii madness and the motion control madness and the zeitgeist of like, we have a pointer controller, which is great. Like, I love the Wii remote for sure. And I think that it was right near the end of the time where Nintendo was trying to really force that stuff into every game they were making.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for sure why that happened. And I can deal with it, and I can play it, and I got really good at using it that way, so it doesn't bother me. But there's no doubt it's one of the biggest mistakes they made was not allowing the nunchuck and the damned analog stick.
That's all I wanted. That's
all most people wanted.
That's all I didn't mind, like, the whole, if you want to shift back and forth between, you know, having to use pointer controls. The pointer controls weren't the problem. That was actually pretty good. Like, you can kind of lock it. Yeah, it was fine. Because like Metroid Prime 3 was okay. But like, man, yeah, dude, like the D-pad and the movement, like in a 3D space, using that small D-pad was just, I don't know why. And like, even like they did the same thing like with Donkey Kong. Like Donkey Kong, you had to use, you know,
and Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I'm going to be honest with you. I totally liked that. I liked.
Did you?
Yeah, I know I'm a weirdo though. I like pounding away. I was like,
okay.
This is fun. Like, it worked for me. It reminded me of in Mario Galaxy, like just shaking to do the little spin. I thought that was cool too. So those things didn't bother me.
It wasn't as bad. I guess you're right about that. It wasn't. But I just talk about like the forcing of using that outside of just like being able to use like they had a classic controller. They had a classic controller Pro. They had a classic controller and classic controller Pro.
I agree. There should have been options, but I hated the Donkey Kong thing less than I think a lot of people did.
Oh, okay, yeah. To me, it was just like, okay, I would just mention like, okay, but me and my brother, I had a great experience with that game. Me and my brother played through the whole game co-op, and it was a blast. Like, it was one of the best experiences, you know.
It's an awesome game.
Yeah, it's a great game. So yeah, I'm not really too mad about that. But yeah, man. I mean, do you have any thoughts on Metroid before we get to the main topic here?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really fun, and I agree that the Other M influence was in there, and I also agree that Other M was not a bad game.
Yay!
I enjoyed it. Like, heard it again somewhat soon. I thought it was fun, but you know, whatever. Some people are just never happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, I think if the portrayal of Samus wasn't like the way it was, people just wouldn't be as mad with that game. That was the big thing that people really just hated.
I'll say, I know we don't want to drag this on too long, but I will say, I think the biggest complaint in Other M, the biggest specific moment that people complain about that I do agree with, is the Ridley battle, because that was where, if you guys remember, like she was, you know, Ridley's like her time-tested enemy going back, you know, to the oldest games, and Ridley's a great foil to who Samus is. And when she starts to face off with Ridley, she's so terrified from her memories of Ridley and her past that she's like shaken and not able to start the battle at first. And that was something that the Adam Malkovich thing too, for sure. And I get that. It doesn't bother me, but I get it.
Yeah.
But the Ridley thing and like Samus being so terrified to take down a foe really, really got to people. And I will agree with that, but then I will then say, once she finally was ready to just kick ass and fight, the battle becomes a great gameplay battle. And to me, that's why I think the game holds up just fine, because the gameplay rocks.
Oh yeah, the gameplay, like they had a lot of cool ideas in there. I mean, you can see like the Team Ninja influence as well, you know, in there. So yeah, I think it's cool, man. It's cool overall, but we'll see. Going forward, obviously, Metroid. I reported we had some sales, a little bit of sales, nothing big, but you know, it was #1 as far as the game sold on Amazon, which is good. You want to see that. You want to see it jump up to those Amazon charts, because a lot of people do buy through Amazon now. So it's always good to see that game jump up there on the charts. So that's good. So it's good. It's probably going to sell pretty well. Mercury Steam, they posted a picture of themselves. They're not a big team at all. They're pretty...
Really?
Yeah, they posted a picture on Twitter and just say thanking everyone, like, hey, Samus Returns came out, thank you. I think I counted about maybe 20 something people, 30, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a smaller team. They've had, I mean, people were mad about this, like that they were making this game, because this is the same team who made Castlevania Lords of Shadow. You know, they also
the
made
DS, the Mirror of Fate or whatever.
Mirror of Fate. They made Lords of Shadow on the Xbox 360, PS3. They made Mirror of Fate, and then they also made Lords of Shadow 2. And I think the biggest thing is that people didn't like the way that they reimagined Castlevania. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't like the way that
I think the first one was actually really good. I enjoyed the first one.
I loved the first one, but they didn't. Specifically the 3DS version.
Phenomenal.
Some people were upset about how they did it. They didn't like how they reimagined the 3DS version, even though that's more of a classic Castlevania. But that game isn't up to the quality of. I mean, you can sit back. I've played both games. It's not up to. Even though it's a very Mirror of Fate's not a bad game at all.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. I agree.
No, it's not a bad game at all. But you can clearly see Nintendo's influence and how they've grown as a company. Because Samus Returns is much better. Is better than Mirror of Fate. So yeah, it's good to see that they've gotten better, because some people were worried. I'm like, why are you guys worried? They know how to do 2D games. All you need to see is that, one, they're not horrible. They can make a competent game, and two, they're going to be working with Nintendo. So what is there to worry about?
Honestly, when I saw a new Metroid game with Samus was coming out, I was like, this will be good because Nintendo will not mess this up. That was my feeling. I was like, they ain't going to let this thing be garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah. And somebody's asking, Rob, he says, OJ, you must never hold a single Joy-Con. The difference from what I see with single Joy-Cons is that single Joy-Cons have an analog stick on them compared to the D-pad. So for me, it's easier to control. If I am going to, it's a little bit easier for me to control it, whereas with the D-pad, I mean, if it was a single Joy-Con like this and it actually had an analog that I can use with Metroid Other M, it wouldn't have been as bad with the analog, because there's 3D parts of the game. It was the small little D-pad. The analog is just easier movement for a 3D game, so it's not quite as bad. Although I don't like using single Joy-Con, I don't use single Joy-Con play. It is better because of the analog stick that you have on there. Plus, you have your option of which one, like even position of the analog stick. There's two different ones, and they're kind of slightly different on there. So I have a little bit more options when it comes to single Joy-Con. But you're right, I'm definitely not a single Joy-Con type of. The only time that I use that is when me and my daughter play Fast RMX at the kitchen table. That's the only time that I use single Joy-Con, and I'm not playing seriously anyway, you know. So yeah, man. Am I going to be joining Spawn Wave? Not right now. Let's see here. So let's go and let's get to the main topic here, guys. Get you out within the next 30 minutes or so. So let's talk about this. The main thing that we wanted to discuss was third-party developers. Some of them kind of caught with their pants down. Not putting out more than what they had, and I know, Sean, this is your topic, so please, can you let me, what is your biggest takeaway from what's going on with what's happening with Wolfenstein and what we've heard from now compared to what happened with some of these third-party developers? I think you said Capcom, EA, Activision. So what do you have to say to them, man, at this point?
I mean, we're talking about a Nintendo platform that has 3 Bethesda games announced for it, 2 coming out this year in 2017, within the next 4 months. A Nintendo platform. When was the last time Bethesda was on a Nintendo platform? Like, you have 2K releasing 2 flagship franchises. One is already released and phenomenal, and it's 2K, another company that hasn't really been that big on Nintendo platforms. You have Rockstar with, a multi-platform LA Noire release that's coming to all platforms, and the Switch version has specific features for the Switch. What? Like, once again, another 2017 release. So honestly, the fact that there is no Call of Duty, the fact that there is no Madden this year just shows me that companies like EA and Activision severely underestimated the system, where companies like 2K and Bethesda realized, hey, this could be something interesting. This could be something special. We need to make sure we play ball on this system. And I mean, obviously they see something. Doom on the Switch has to be one of the biggest announcements of 2017 for many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because A, it was one of the best games of 2016, point blank, period. It is the game I have played the most on my PS4, whether it's single player, whether it's multiplayer. I love the multiplayer. A lot of people thought, you know, the multiplayer is too simple. It's Doom.
It's supposed to be simple.
Point and shoot.
It's supposed to be a fast arena shooter in that, you know, Unreal style, so it was perfect to me. The fact that Doom obviously is such a graphically intense game. Skyrim, another graphically intense game. LA Noire, which is, you know, still holds a candle, you know, to some of the best looking games because of that facial animation, which is just mind-blowing. And these are all coming to the Switch. So, like, the fact that companies like EA, I cannot imagine that it would have been very hard to get a version of Madden running on the console. I can't imagine that it would have been very hard to get a version of Call of Duty running on the console when, you know, Call of Duty, I don't even think it looks that great from what I played in the beta. So, like, it's just, they underestimated the system. They did not think, you know, even EA went on record as saying they did not think, you know, the system was going to do that well initially. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it did, and these other companies were able to get, you know, their games on the platform and see the excitement, see the buzz that it's creating, while these other, you know, Western companies are just literally sitting there with their pants down like, oh, duh, we didn't know. Like, it's honestly a bad look for them. It makes them look incompetent is what it really does in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you before I go, what do you think about that? What do you think? That was an epic rant, by the way. I love it. I love it. What do you think about that? What's your take on the whole third party? You know, some of them kind of not playing ball at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's pretty much everything Sean said is like 100% right on. You know, it's really interesting and exciting to see the companies that are jumping on board and the games that they're announcing. I mean, obviously, we were all blown away by Doom and Wolfenstein. I still am reeling from that. And Sean, I am right there with you with Doom. It was almost my favorite game last year. It was so good. And I might be one of the few people that kind of sees Wolfenstein as the slightly bigger deal just because that's like a new game that's not yet out. That was like so surprising. And it's really, really good to see. And we're at this point where I feel like we're just seeing which companies were willing to understand how special the Switch really was going to be and probably saw pretty early on what Nintendo had and knew, you know what? This is where that Nintendo lightning in a bottle magic thing is going to happen because Nintendo is that weird company that makes that stuff happen when you least expect it. And no one was prepared with the Wii back in 2006, and it took the entire industry a really long time to finally jump on board and start releasing some decent stuff. And eventually we did get some okay stuff, which was really cool. Like even Call of Duty, like that. Eventually we had like 4 Call of Duty games on the Wii or something crazy like that. And they were not too bad. So it's just really interesting to see the fact that Bethesda, which is an American company, is one of these games, like diving so headfirst into the Switch, I think is really huge. And something I talked about this when I made my direct recap video. I think what's really cool about what Bethesda's doing is the fact that they've announced Doom and Wolfenstein, which for 1,000 reasons you would never expect to see on the Switch. But those games being announced before Skyrim is even launched. So it's great because they haven't waited to see if Skyrim performs before giving us these huge games. That, to me, was probably, personally, the biggest story. Even more than the games themselves is that level of faith, because we're hearing from EA, and I'm someone who's not super mad about FIFA. Like, I'm probably going to pick up FIFA. I'm excited for it. But EA is the company who is basically saying, yeah, we will wait to see FIFA perform before we bring anything big like Star Wars and stuff down the road. Whereas we thought Bethesda was doing the same thing and waiting for Skyrim. And nope, they were totally lying and trolling with us because then they give us Doom and Wolfenstein, which is just so super huge. And it's sad to see companies like Capcom and Activision that have a lot of games and series I would like to personally play on my Switch. Like, I want Mega Man in the Disney Collection and Monster Hunter and Call of Duty and Destiny. I want these games on my Switch. I will not play them on my Xbox or PlayStation to play them on my Switch, like I'm going to do with Wolfenstein. I will wait the time and pick up Wolfenstein on my Switch. And, you know, those companies haven't understood that the Nintendo audience will do that, whereas Bethesda and 2K and now Rockstar, of all companies, seems to get that. And it's really cool. It's kind of, like you said, Sean, it's like unprecedented territory to see so many games like this in the first year of the Switch. And so, I don't know. I hope it all works out for the better, and I think it's gonna.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead,
One
Sean.
thing I want to touch on is if I guarantee you that if they released Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 and the Disney Afternoon Collection, you would see Capcom saying the exact same thing that the Oceanhorn developer said. You would see Capcom saying the exact thing that the Wonder Boy developer said. It sold better on the Switch than all 3 other platforms combined. Because the thing of it is that people are buying Switch games. Like, it doesn't matter what company is putting out the game. People are buying the game because of the ability to take the game with you wherever you go, and it's the same game whether you play it at home or whether you play it on the go. And like, those games would have sold, they would have been in the top of the eShop, they would have outsold the other platforms. But it's just this old, it's funny to say it, but it's this old guard mentality. Usually when talking about old guard mentality, you're talking about Nintendo themselves. But no, some of these companies just have this old guard mentality, and it's just like, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? Like, look at what other companies are saying. Look at what other companies are doing. And like, there's a reason they're doing it. And I'm sorry you haven't found that reason, but you might want to try and find that reason, because, you know, when I look at, you know, how much, although, you know, Sony did, you know, pony up the money to get that, when I look at how a game like Street Fighter V sold on the PS4 with the 65 million install base versus what a game like Ultra Street Fighter 2 sold on a system with, what, 6-7 million tops, percentage-wise, that game sold a hell of a lot better than Street Fighter V did.
It's a good point.
It's like, you people are crazy.
If it was more reasonably priced, if it was $20, it would have sold. I think it would be at $1 million right now. If it was $20, but it's at 40, and it actually keeps selling. So there's been no price drop. It actually sells decent. I mean, it sells about a good 10 grand, 10, 11 grand worldwide, which Capcom will take. They will take that to the bank. I mean, it's been a slow burn for that game since it launched, but it's just been consistent. People still go out there and pick it up because it's the mystique of the game. Like Capcom, you can get Street Fighter 2 on a cartridge. You haven't been able to say that in like, you haven't been able to say that in like years. You can get Street Fighter 2 on a cartridge,
but it is also really, really good.
Oh yeah, Capcom knew what they were doing with the game. They knew they were going to make a call. They knew people love Street Fighter 2. They knew that they were going to have good online. They were going to have, the game was going to be solid, but they knew they can overcharge for it. Resident Evil Revelations can't overcharge for that game. Like, like, even though those are good games, but it doesn't have the mystique. Resident Evil Revelations does not have the mystique of a Street Fighter 2.
Those games, to be fair, are $20 individually if you buy them individually, which is nice. And that's the same, I think, on PS4 and Xbox One, right? Isn't that the same price?
Yeah, they're all $20. It's just like they can't, like Capcom. You would think that maybe, I mean, they wouldn't overcharge for it. You see what I'm saying? Like with Street Fighter, that game they could have easily, if they wanted to, they could have easily priced it, you know, $20 or $30. They priced it $40. They priced it, you know, at least at the minimum $10 more than what people were maybe even expecting for how old the game is. But at the same time, people still went out there and bought the game. Whereas like Resident Evil Revelations, like they just said, okay, $20, and then you get everything in the game because they know they can't. I mean, if Resident Evil Revelations 1 was $40, nobody would buy it. Nobody's buying that game at $40. Maybe Resident Evil Revelations.
That game, and I would not buy it.
Oh, absolutely not! I would not buy the game at $40. Like Resident Evil Revelations 2, that'd be really tough for me. No fucking. Especially in the holiday season, like with Skyrim and with Doom and with Xenoblade, all like right around the same time. Nobody's buying that game for $40. So, you know, Capcom, they knew what they were doing. They knew that the time that it was releasing early in the Switch's life, you know, less games, you know, there was all sorts of stuff. Capcom, and that's the thing that I want to just kind of build off of Capcom's point, which I've talked about Capcom. This company, Capcom, this is what they do. Like this, I can guarantee you, this is what they're going to do next year or the year after. Heck, maybe they're going to say, Mega Man Legacy Collection, 1 and 2 and 3 on the Switch, $15. And everyone's going to be like, oh, we love you, Capcom. I'm telling you, this is what they're going to do. They're going to wait, and yes, they're going to say, yeah, we could have had sales on the eShop charts. We could have been at the top with this install base, but what if we had 20 million to work with? How many more people? Like, this is the bum Capcom mentality. This company, this year, they are releasing so many things on PS4, Xbox One, PC, with Okami, with Legacy Collections, with just remasters of all these things. It's like, well, why didn't you guys do that throughout all the years of the PlayStation 4? This, like, they released nothing in the first 2-3 years of the PlayStation 4. We got nothing, and PlayStation 4 had record sales, and they released Strider, Devil May Cry collection, the Devil May Cry DMC, the game that nobody wanted remastered, DMC Devil May Cry, and then they released a episodic Resident Evil Revelations 2, missing all sorts of content. That was their first 2 years on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, despite an install base of well over 50 million combined between both of those systems. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is, and now that the PS4 and Xbox One have this huge install base, okay, let's just throw everything on there. Like, now they're just Capcom is just throwing everything on there. So I think that's Capcom's mentality at this point is, we wait for an install base, and then we throw everything out there, and then we'll give you guys great deals on the games. Oh, Resident Evil Revelations, great deal, $20. Oh, you want Okami? Yeah, $20. The same port that they have from the PS3. But that's just Capcom is just falling into that Capcom being Capcom, like I call it. So
I actually loved Revelations 1, and I never bought 2 because of the episodic shit. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. So when it was announced for the Switch, I was like, hey, great, now I'll finally buy it. Perfect.
Yep. I bought it on Xbox One, but I didn't. I played like the first chapter. I was like, okay. And then I don't know what I did, but I was done.
I actually waited for the retail release of that, where you could just buy for $40 the whole thing, because I was super, just like you, not into the episodic thing at all. With how good Revelations 1 was, too, I was like, man, just don't do that, but you're doing it because you're dumb. And I bought the physical, and it's really not very good. It's really just not. It's coming off of Revelations 1, which was, like, really, like, a special game in the midst of this weird Resident Evil stuff. It was kind of disappointing. I would say still play it, but I'll let you know it's nowhere near as good as the first.
Mm-hmm. Resident Evil Revelations 1, it's dope. It's a great game.
Yeah. 2 is just boring. I think the biggest crime 2 commits, honestly, is just that it's boring. Everything is fine about it. It's just not exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It has, like, the mechanics down. It has everything that you like, but it's just not like the pacing, the boss battles. Everything's just kind of not really geared up or ratchet from. Resident Evil Revelations 1 does things a little bit better when it comes even to, like, the story, the characters. I think Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield and even the new characters they had are a little bit more interesting than what was in, even though there's Barry Burton and, you know.
They Barry and Rebecca back, which is cool.
Which is good.
It's cool having Barry, man, but they didn't really do the best. That was the best part of the game, too. So.
Yeah. I know having Barry back was actually pretty cool. And playing as Rebecca, that's actually really cool, too. And Claire Redfield also. I think the characters were cool. Just some other issues with it, but I'm still gonna get it just because.
Yeah, me too.
I'm still gonna get it just because. I mean, Capcom, like I said, we'll see what happens in it. But I do want to kind of go up on Sean's point with EA and them, and like EA. This company, and with Bethesda, I think Nintendo did a good job. Nintendo placed their chips where they needed to place their chips. They said, we're going to have Square Enix, we're going to have some Japanese support, we're going to make sure that we get some of that, you know, and then we're also, as far as Western developers, we're going to go after Bethesda. And I think Nintendo they picked the right developer to really kind of go after. Nintendo's publishing Skyrim, and I'm pretty sure there was some backdoor deals going on with Wolfenstein and Doom as well, whether it be marketing, whether it be like including it into the Nintendo Direct, making it a part of the focus point. But yeah, Nintendo picked the right one because, you know, last generation they picked EA, right? But then they had that falling out. Nintendo also talked to other developers like Warner Bros. For porting over some of the stuff. I think they also said like Ninja Gaiden, they got that. But this time Nintendo was very smart. They picked the right developer, and that was Bethesda. They picked a couple other Japanese developers. They picked Koei Tecmo to partner with to make sure that they got their games on the system. Koei Tecmo's releasing like 3 or 4 games this year on the Switch. So I think that they just made the right choices when it came to who are we going to give money to in order to do certain things for us. And Bethesda and Koei Tecmo, in my opinion, but Square Enix, Bethesda, Koei Tecmo were good picks. And the ones that didn't get that money, Capcom, Capcom, EA, Activision were like, oh, well, we're not going to do anything, whereas Nintendo picked them last time with Call of Duty, you know, so we're not getting Call of Duty this time because Nintendo didn't back them with their money like they backed them with Black Ops. So EA, obviously, I think that there should have been a little bit more, at least FIFA and Madden, you know, this year from EA. But, you know, we'll see what goes forward in the future. But they were definitely sleeping on the you know, the Nintendo Switch. All of them, all of those companies were kind of sleeping. I didn't think they were gonna, you know, think that it was going to do very well, man. So I don't know. Actually, Koei Tecmo released 8 games this year, and 8 games on the Switch.
I don't think so.
I think there's like 3 Japanese games, like Dynasty Warrior style games coming out at the end of the year, and they have like the Atelier series, so that's 4. Then Fire Emblem Warriors, that's 5.
Did they do? Who did that? This might not be them, but that Fate Extella game. Who's that?
That is.
Is that them? Or is that
no?
Bandai?
That is Xseed, Marvelous. That is
Yeah,
them. Yeah, Marvelous, Xseed. That's I think that's the branch of them who did that. But yeah, man. So we're gonna go.
Interesting.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's interesting. Like, it's kind of too bad that we have to look at like a new Nintendo console in terms of like, who did Nintendo have to go in court to make games for the system? Like, it really shouldn't be that, because we know that Sony and Microsoft don't necessarily have to do that. They just kind of put their systems out and everyone is excited to jump on board. We obviously, we're all smart people. We know why that is, because third parties have struggled on Nintendo for a long time, and Nintendo's made a lot of mistakes that have made that happen as well. Like, I've said a lot of times in my videos, I think that there's a lot of fault on both sides of that, but it just sucks when you kind of realize you have to look at it that way. Like, well, but you know, Nintendo went after these guys, so we got Bethesda games, but this time they didn't go after Activision, so Activision said, screw you, no Call of Duty. And it's just dumb, because it's not like Nintendo is the only one that loses out on not having Call of Duty. Like, Activision loses out on not having a Call of Duty or whatever on a new platform. Like, the Switch existing becomes a third or fourth, if you want to throw PC in, like another avenue of game sales and revenue and gamers if you take advantage of it properly. And it just sucks that we have to wonder, who does Nintendo choose to court, and then who do they ignore, and then we don't get their games until they try to catch up too late. And it's just that, you know, we've seen the cycle a couple times. It would be really nice to get out of that cycle soon, and hopefully, like, the Bethesda is just the stepping stone to more of that stuff happening.
I think, like you said, there's a combination of problems. Nintendo does not make the same dual hardware. Like, the PS4 and Xbox One are essentially the same. There's that, like you said, there's games not selling as well. There's Nintendo being stubborn. There's third parties being stubborn. There's blame.
It's the Wii U not selling well, stuff like that. It all adds up. Yeah,
it's probably my fault somehow too. I mean, I'm not sure. There's blame. There's blame to go around to pretty much everyone. I mean, there's been times where I haven't bought certain third-party games and it's like, I don't want it. You know, so maybe there's blame. Like, you can throw blame anywhere you want to throw it. But I think with this one, this is where I think we might be able to get past that, because this is something that's a little bit more revolutionary. Like, developers are always wanting people. What do developers want? They want activity time. They want people, right, to, how long has someone been playing my game? You know why? Because I can monetize my game. I can exploit that for marketing. I can say, hey, gamers have spent this much time. Have you seen developers doing that now? Gamers have spent this much time playing our game. Nintendo does it with Splatoon. Yeah. And with the Switch, you have more time. Like, no matter what way you want to say, oh, well, maybe I don't use the portable mode, whatever the case is, it's just the fact that you can play games more on the Switch than you could with just a home console, because you cannot lug a TV around everywhere that you go. You know what I'm saying? So there are more opportunities for you to play video games on the Switch than there are with other systems. So I think developers, the smart ones, will exploit that and be like, okay, well, maybe we can sell our DLC, because we can sell DLC at any time when there's an internet connection. We can sell more, we can have more gamers playing our games, actually beating our games, because if they're on the vacation or whatever the case is. So hopefully these developers really understand that. And we've seen it with Koei Tecmo, we've seen it with Square Enix a bit, but some of these other developers, like you said, it's a bit unfortunate that Nintendo had to court them, but it's all based on a lot of different things, man. But I think a lot of them are going to shape up. 2018 is probably going to be a very different year, for that. And I think even FIFA or EA was like, yeah, the next FIFAs are probably going to come to the Switch. This was before the sales of FIFA even came out. So I think they're noticing that because of the sales, everything. Like, hey, you know what? It'd probably be a good idea to invest in this system, at least for the minimum. FIFA, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least to have a FIFA, because they put FIFA on the 3DS, you know, for a long time, and even though it was kind of trash, but they did do that, man. So, you have anything else to add on to this one, Sean, or you want to get into some user questions before we let you guys out of here, man?
I think I covered it well.
All right, guys.
We've all gotten nice and mad.
All right, guys. Go to give us your user questions. We're going to be answering for about 15-20 minutes or so. User questions, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. Let's see here. User questions. All right. What lies beneath? Q&A. What's your favorite console of all time? Mine is the Super Nintendo, but the way that the Switch is going, it could very much change because of my lifestyle at this point. Portable play for me is big, so Switch could be easily hot on its heels at this point. But Super Nintendo right now. What about you guys? Sean?
Sega Saturn, but same with the Switch thing. Like, I've been playing NBA 2K this entire time in tabletop mode. Like,
that is so dope that you can play tabletop mode and do a podcast at the same time.
Just like those guys in the commercial.
Yeah, that is so dope. I've actually thought about busting out Project Octopath real quick and like getting a couple battles. It's right there, man. I thought about it. So what about you, Rob?
For me, it's the 64. Definitely the Nintendo 64.
It's 64. GoldenEye, maybe GoldenEye.
Oh, well, GoldenEye, of course, was huge, yeah. And I mean, I'm older. I think we're all kind of up there. I think we're all in the third decade of our life. So I was in my mid to late teens when the 64 came out, and it was just like, it was so perfect to chill with my friends. My parents would be out. We would just all be hanging out. GoldenEye, Mario Kart, all that good stuff. And the golden age of Rare, too. Obviously, all the stuff people talk about. Ocarina of Time, Mario 64. It was just the best time in my life for video games, and that's why the 64 is just awesome.
Yeah, man. Sorry, my daughter's knocking at my door. Yeah, 64, not one of my favorites, but I love GoldenEye. Oh. I played a lot of games on there, so yeah, man. I you know what? I shouldn't have even said that. 64 is cool. 64 is cool.
I think part of it, when I think about things like my favorite video game systems and which ones I prefer and not, like, one of the things I do that I think most people don't do, which is totally fair, but I think about the era it was out in. I think about what my life was like, and I also think about what it was like compared to the competition at the time, you know? And that's, like, PlayStation was great, and that was also the Saturn area, Sean. I don't want to leave the Saturn out. That was a good system, too. We had one. But, like, the 64 was just so radical compared to everything else going. Star Fox 64, I was freaking out for when Star Fox came out.
Me too. I love, actually, that's actually one of my favorite, like, I would probably say top 50 games of all time. Star Fox 64 is definitely
it's a top
in
10
there.
Nintendo game for me, for sure. Star Fox 64.
It blew my mind when it came out. And that's the thing with 64. 64 had, like, it was, like, maybe not as much, like, as many games just because of the 64 cartridge. I'm not sure. But some of the games that came out were just, like, mind-blowing at the time, you know. So Star Fox 64 was definitely one of those games. Let's move on to the next question, though. Let's see here. We got a lot of people just saying all sorts of stuff. That question, greatest system of all time, always gets interesting comments. Let's see here. So, yeah, there's not many questions being asked here, though, guys. Like, can we get some questions?
No questions?
There's a lot of just statements, but there's not like a lot. There's not a lot of questions.
Someone ask a question.
Okay. Let's see here. Phoenix Metal says, PlayerEssence, do you guys think Dragon Ball FighterZ is a given now? Xenoverse 2 selling well and there's demand. Guys, I wouldn't worry about that game. My answer is I wouldn't worry about that game coming to the Switch or not. I can't say anything more than that, but I'll just say I wouldn't worry about it. What do you think, Rob?
I don't expect it. I really, really, really want it, but I just feel like it feels like a game that's just not destined to happen. So I don't know. We gotta talk later, Rob. Okay.
All right. What about you, Sean?
I don't Dragon Ball, so.
I don't Dragon Ball, bro. You don't Dragon Ball. You don't want to get a wish. If you gather all of them, you get one wish.
You get a wish. You can wish for Dragon Ball FighterZ on the Switch.
I guess I hope it comes to the system for fans of the game, maybe?
All right, let's leave
Sean
Sean.
is like, there's been more Dragon Ball talk on this podcast than I was prepared for.
All right. All right. Let's see here. Another question. Let's move on here. Favorite 3 games on the Switch. What lies beneath? My favorite 3. Splatoon. Zelda's number 1. Zelda, Splatoon, and probably Mario plus Rabbids. I mean, it's tough though. I mean, obviously I love ARMS, but that would probably be my top 3 right now. But there's more. Like I love Azure Striker Gunvolt. Like I really love the Striker Pack. Like that's really good. So yeah, there's a lot of good games. But yeah, those are my top 3 for right now, man. What about you, Rob?
Well, obviously Zelda. That's the given. Zelda and Splatoon. And the third one, I mean, I want to say Mario Kart, but I really, really like Fast RMX a lot. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be one of those. I mean, Mario Kart's like the better game for sure, but I just really like Fast, so I kind of want to give it some love.
What about you, Sean?
Zelda, 2K, and third one's tough. I mean, there's it could be Splatoon, could be Mario Kart. There's a lot of good games. I'll give it to Mario Kart though. I've played a good bit of the Mario Kart. Probably
can we just throw Doom on there since we played it? That'd be great.
Might as well.
Can we throw Project Octopath on there? Can we throw Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Can we throw Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on there? Because I already know I'm going to be freaking out when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out. So I'll just throw Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as my number, like pretty much tied with Zelda. There you go, tied with Zelda for me. So Sylvester Wallace says, which was better, Xenoblade Chronicles X or Final Fantasy 15? I don't know if you guys have played both of those games yet?
No, not Final Fantasy.
Okay, so
I played a little.
Okay, so maybe I played both of them and beat both of them, and I would have to say that Xenoblade Chronicles X is a little bit better to me, just because Xenoblade Chronicles X, the combat to me was better. The combat system. Final Fantasy 15 has a better story, has better graphics, but Xenoblade Chronicles X has a better hook with the mechs and like all the different stuff that you can do in that game, and just the gameplay was just more engrossing to me than Final Fantasy 15. But Final Fantasy 15 has it beaten pretty much everything else, like music. Well, music maybe about equal, but whatever. But graphics and everything else.
One by one.
So yeah, man, that's my thought on that. So let's move on to the Shunny. No, I'm not answering any more rumored Switch rival question. No more of those questions, guys. We'll see if it actually happens. I've answered that every single time. It's just funny because it's such hypotheticals. It's just,
what is it now? Well, now I'm just curious.
The whole rumored Switch, or not Switch, PlayStation hybrid thing that's like a portable PS4, or something like that. Like,
that's a big topic, man.
It is, but I've talked about it so many times. Like, it's just. I'm not talking about it anymore. But maybe you want to say something on it, Rob? You can say something on it.
No. I mean, I made a video and discuss it. It's an interesting thing to talk about, but I don't really have much else to add. I made like a 15-minute video about it. So
check out his video. Check out Rob's video.
Yeah, it's a good video.
Well, although I don't know, like, I do want to hear Sean's view on this. What do you think about this?
Here's the thing about that. Like, most rumors are rooted within something. There's a leak, there's a potential this, potential that. This has to be one of the most popular rumors right now that people want to know about, that I have not seen a single thing to make me think that that's what's going to happen at this presentation. I haven't seen a single thing.
The patent. Or are you talking about, like, there's been no, like, article from, like, a big website or insider, like, outside of pretty much, like, Dave is pretty much the only one, and then everyone's latched onto what he said from that. So is that what you're saying? That you just haven't seen anything else outside of just that one, like, just Dave talking about it?
And I mean, what's a patent? Like, how many freaking patents have I seen over the years? Remember the Stewie Griffin controller patent?
I was just thinking about that.
And why are we giving this so much credence? I actually was on Spawnwave's podcast last week, and Dreamcast guy and Spawnwave were talking about how they thought it was, could potentially be a thing. And I'm like, based on what? Based on what? There's nothing. Like, and even if they did, are they going to have cartridges because discs aren't going to work? How are you going to have a
Yeah, what are they going to do, man?
I mean,
how the hell are you going to have a portable PS4 that's going to have a decent battery life and, more importantly, a decent price point? And what's the point of a portable PS4 right now? Like, you're not going to sell any software if it's compatible with PS4 software, but if it's compatible with PS4 software, that means it has to be on Blu-ray, which means the battery life would be like 20 seconds long, so you're going to make a whole new cartridge medium. You're going to do UMDs for the third time or do the old thing, and you're still going to have your proprietary memory. It's going to cost like $500. None of it makes sense.
That's why I wanted your take on this. I had to get your take.
Imagine if it actually played PS4 games and it had to be big enough to have a whole disc drive in it, and it was just this monstrous thing.
There'd be no way. There'd be no way that thing could be real. And I have to agree with Sean's point. It's like, okay, let's just say this thing is real. What do you do with it? Okay, is this thing a portable? Let's say it's a portable PS4. There's a technology out there. It is a hybrid PS4. That pretty much cuts your sales. Let's just say the technology is there. The PS4 no longer sells, right? Why do you need a PS4? Unless the PS5 is coming out very soon, or right after that. There is zero reason to have a PS4. If this thing is a portable PS4 and it's a hybrid, you hook it up to your TV. Sony essentially says, nobody buy a PS4 anymore, because now you get a PS4 that's the same thing. I'm talking about if it's the exact same thing as the PlayStation 4, not downgraded graphics. It can play all the same games. I don't even know how the technology would work, but let's just say it does. You no longer need a PS4, so PS4 sales.
It divides the market. Like, I agree with you. If there's any truth to it being real, which I'm willing to give it like a small little possibility, I'm not totally ruling it out. Like, there's no way it could be a PS4. It would have to be, if they're smart, it would be just a dedicated portable thing, like what the Vita was, like the next step. It has to be. And I know the patent exists. Like, I've seen the patent. I talked about it. We all know that thing exists. So nothing is impossible. But I feel like if they want to make any chance at like being successful, it needs to be like a really solid, dedicated, portable thing. But then, of course, that kind of makes it harder to believe, because they've done that a couple times and never really been successful. So, like, why would you put all the money into making it knowing it's probably not going to be successful? But I will say, I'll add this too, and this was the main crux of my video, and I stand by this, is I do still, even though I don't really believe it, I like the idea of it, because I do think it's healthy for Nintendo to have some kind of challenge out there in the portable space, and that includes the Switch. I think that competition, we probably all would agree, can only really be good. So that's why I would like Sony to make a viable option that makes Nintendo have to keep pushing and keep pushing, and Sony has to keep pushing, and if we just have two great handheld console things on the market, I think that would be a good thing. But I still don't think it's real. So
I do want to say real quick before you go, Sean. Doc Trey's in the chat, so shout outs to Doc Trey in the chat. Thanks for coming and watching.
What's up?
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
If Sony's dumb enough to do another portable console, who is going to buy that? Because last time I checked, the only reason that the Vita, people still are happy with their Vitas or playing their Vitas is because of third-party companies. Because Sony abandoned that a long time ago. When's the last time you saw it in an E3 presentation? Why would you announce a new console? You're not Nintendo. So that's another thing. Sony is not Nintendo. Sony doesn't usually do groundbreaking announcements at their own little thing. Honestly, I expect this to be basically a Nintendo Direct, and maybe they're going to show you a couple more games that are coming out in 2018, or a new IP, or maybe they'll have a surprise announcement for a release in 2017, because let's face it, they're not releasing nothing for the rest of the year, and maybe there's some little HD remaster of a game. People just I don't know why people are thinking so highly of this. People were disappointed at the Nintendo Direct. Some people just way too disappointed and acting like juvenile children throwing away their Switch. And it was a damn good Direct. I shudder to think of what Sony fans, you know, the hardcore Sony fans are going to do when this thing is just games and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I think I don't know how much the hardcore Sony fan want some type of hype, because if it's a new Vita, you know, which it's just hard for me to believe that Sony would release something that's a real dedicated portable that doesn't have some type of connection to the PlayStation 4. Like, I'm thinking maybe it's going to be like a remote. I said it's like the remote play thingy.
See, but they've already done this though.
But maybe it's like a better remote, because Vita remote play is trash. So maybe it's an enhanced, because the Vita wasn't made for the PlayStation 4. It was made well before the PlayStation 4. It was made. It can connect to the PlayStation 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can do stuff like that. I mean, yes, they've kind of bolted on some support to the PlayStation 4, but trust me, I've tried to do Persona 5 in portable, and for some people it works good. For other people, it doesn't, depend on your walls and stuff. But dude, when you put the thing in sleep, you have to reconnect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to reconnect it back to your system, and it takes some time. It's not just like the Switch, or like a real portable system where it just goes right back. I mean, there's all sorts of issues with remote play, even with great home networking and connections and everything. It's just not good. It's just not fun to use. I mean, people try to act like it is, but it's not. And that's the reason why nobody's bought Vita and nobody really does remote play, outside of a few people that really love it. But it's not a popular thing to do because it's not very good. So maybe they make something that's a much better Vita, or you know what I'm saying, that can remote play a lot better, you know, and it's a lot cheaper, and maybe it can play Vita games. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe if there is anything to this, it can do that. Like, you got something that's a real thing that's built for the PlayStation 4. It can really do remote play. Oh, and you can play your Vita games on cartridge. Like, what would you guys think about something like that?
Well, see, and that's why my whole stance on the whole idea is that I don't necessarily believe it. I'm not ruling it out, but I don't really believe it. I don't think it would be successful, but I think that a good product like that is only a good thing. So I would like to see, like, just another great piece of hardware that exists that hopefully would have good games to play, because we are the gamers, you know, we're the gamers, so we win, and that's really cool. And again, it challenges Nintendo, which I think would be a good thing. But I just struggle to believe it. So.
We got caught up on this topic, and we took a lot of time
to talk about this.
I thought we weren't going to. So anyway, let me try to get a couple more questions, because we do have to kind of shut this podcast down just a bit. So let me see if I can find. Doc Trey says that they're not coming out with the PlayStation Portable. So Trey doesn't think it's real. Trey has been ridiculously accurate when it comes to these different things. So let's go and see if we can find. Let's see if we can find another. See if we can find another question here. Everyone's just talking about the Sony portable thingy.
Look at what we did.
Yeah, I know. Look at what we did, man. You guys have another question? Guys, we got about 5 minutes maybe for questions. So if you guys ask some new questions. Okay, Og MC. This is PlayerEssence. Do you guys think we'll get a full Bethesda support in the future? Right now, and obviously, is amazing though. We've got pretty much full Bethesda support right now. I mean, there's a few games like that they've announced. I think at the latest that they're really. I mean, we got some good Bethesda support right now. I think. Yeah, the partnership is going to be good going forward. I don't see Bethesda dropping support, especially if the sales are there. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, they've announced the games that I want. I mean, maybe minus Fallout, but I don't know. I didn't like Fallout 4, to be perfectly honest with you. So maybe
to me, having an unreleased game announced pretty much shows that they're all in my opinion. So I'm with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Doom from last year, and then you got Skyrim, you know, from last year as well, and then you got a game from, you know, and really it's not even the Switch came out this year, so it's pretty much these are new games for Nintendo fans as far as people who didn't play them, and they're not too old, and then plus a brand new game. Yeah, this is pretty much. I don't really see there being any issue going forward because these are the engines they're going to be using going forward, right? These are going to be
like if these games and these engines, like you said, if they work on the Switch, I think we're in really good shape. I would have also liked to see the Evil Within. That's the one.
Yes, yeah.
But you know, maybe we get like an Evil Within 1 remaster next year or something. I guess we'll see. But you know, I think Bethesda's in good shape with Nintendo.
Yeah, I think the Evil Within would be nice if we got that.
I want a good horror experience on the Switch, man.
Yeah, I agree. Are any of us getting LA Noir? Are you guys getting it at all?
I am. I never finished it, so
I'll pick it up because it's Rockstar, and I understand the value or importance. So I'll pick it up.
I will be passing because it's just in the midst of too many games for me. Like 2 days after that, it's like 2 weeks after Mario, and it's like 2 days before Battlefront 2. So I want to support it, but I'm not super into it. And with all those games coming out around the same time, like it just would be like wasted money for me. So
there's just too much, man. There's just too many games. Let's see any other questions we have here. What about a port of Metal Gear Solid 5? Would any? I don't want that. Oh, I mean, no, not that I said I don't want it, but I didn't beat Metal Gear Solid 5 on the PS4. I don't think it's that good, but that's just me. I like the older Metal Gears better. I don't like open world Metal Gear is not something that I want. It doesn't work to me. Although I know there's a lot of people that love it, but I don't like Metal Gear Solid 5. I like Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. That's my favorite. I love Sons of Liberty.
Yeah, the older ones are good.
They're great, but I would love like let's say a remaster of Twin Snakes. I'd be completely down for that. Like a nice remaster of Twin Snakes of the GameCube version.
It would be a remaster of a remaster.
Yeah, a remaster of exactly. It would be a remaster of a remaster. You're right about that. But I really don't like Metal Gear Solid 5. What about you guys? Are you guys into Metal Gear Solid 5? Would you like a port of that?
No. I'm not really into it. So
okay.
Yeah, I did not love that game.
You didn't like? You tried out? And you didn't like it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I put hours and hours into it. I never felt a connection with it.
Me was my problem was the open world. I was like, I don't. So why is this open world? It seems like they're just like, oh, open world games sell. Okay, well, here you go, a big boss open world. so yeah, man. Mario plus Rabbids 2 in the future. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I would. There's more stuff that they can do, but I don't know.
I would say more Ubisoft Nintendo partnerships. That's more what I see than necessarily a sequel to that game. Although it's possible, but I think it's more about Nintendo and Ubisoft being successful together than anything. So.
I agree. It's more of that than anything. Ian
like, you better believe the next Rayman is going to be like super Nintendo heavy, man. I think there's going to be something cool there whenever that happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's Ninja Baseball Batman? Which, why is his name that? But
that's like a great name now.
Ninja Baseball.
A lot of good things in one name.
Ninjas, baseball, bats, and man. Next, what's on the next? What's on deck for Konami? Next on deck for Konami.
Bro,
go ahead and answer that.
I want Silent Hill more than I want breath in my lungs, you guys. But we're not going to get it, so that's a hard question to answer.
Bankruptcy.
Oh, we still going? I don't hear anyone.
Oh,
I just wanted you. Did anybody else answer? What's next for Konami?
I just mentioned how badly I want Silent Hill. I didn't realize you stepped away for a sec. So
yeah, I stepped away for a
sec. Not sure what's happening there. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I just want Silent Hill so badly. But I mean, nothing. I don't know what to say about Konami. Like, I don't know if anyone knows what to say about Konami. I do think that maybe they're trying to take a slow dip back into making games. Like real games, which
very
nice,
slow dip.
I mean, the worst part about that is if they're only just now deciding to do that, the best games we could want for them would still be years away. So, you know, I want Castlevania and Silent Hill so badly. I just don't even know. Well,
guys, you know what? I would love to answer more questions, and shout-outs to everyone who's subscribed. I'll give you guys quick shout-outs. Bolt56,000, Christopher Pena, and Mr. Fung. All of them subscribe. Welcome to the village, guys. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you guys' subscriptions. And I think also someone else subscribed to Sierra Willems as well. So thank you guys so much for subscribing. I do appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, headbands for all of them. But I do definitely have to wrap this one up just because we have some guests that have to go, and also I have to go as well. So I want to wrap this one up here. Sean, you run a fantastic YouTube channel. Where can everyone find you at? Is he still playing NBA? He's still playing NBA.
I think he's dunking.
I muted myself. I actually just won a game with a buzzer beater with Kimba. You can find me at youtube.com/RGT85. Search for RGT85 pretty much anywhere. I've made that sort of me. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, all sorts of stuff. I'm working on my NBA 2K review actually now since this is completed. Thank you for having me on, OJ. This was a very enjoyable time, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Make sure you guys also subscribe to their channels as well. And also, Rob from Ruleof2Review, where can everyone find you at?
Yeah, so pretty much the same. It's Ruleof2Review, and you can find that anywhere on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. Rule of2, and this was awesome, dude. Thank you so much, OJ, too, for having me on, and this was a blast talking about third parties and getting really mad at them.
Hey, we definitely said some good things. We said some good things.
There's a lot of good to talk about it.
We said some good and some bad things, but it's okay. And of course, you guys know where to find me. You guys are right here on my channel. I want to thank everyone for coming out and watching. And here's the thing that we're gonna do, okay? So there's a guy that I really don't like that much on YouTube. His name is Spawnwave. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna all go over to Spawnwave's channel. And we're going to go ahead and rate it, okay? Because he's kind of doing something right now. Like I said, I don't like this guy, but I do want to let everyone go over to his channel. So go ahead and go raid his channel right at this point. Just say PE Raids or whatever, okay? So here's that. Go raid him. Everyone from here, go to there and watch his podcast that he's doing right now, guys. I put that in the chat for you guys. So everyone go over there and check out this guy that I really don't like too much, but you know, go rate his channel. So, so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and we will see you guys. Oh, more content coming. I'll have videos probably tonight. I might even do Super Smash Brothers. So if you guys want to get some sets against me, I'm practicing for. I'm going to be going to the SCR probably. So if you guys want to practice against me in Smash Brothers, look out later tonight. It's going to be really late. But yeah, I'll be practicing in Smash, so come on and play some sets against me. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys for the next video. Bye-bye.